It is crunch time in the NHL season, and the stakes are getting higher and higher. You got teams benching their captain, an MVP battle for the ages, and a wildcard race that is getting increasingly intense. Week 25 of the NHL was another wild chapter of the season, so let's cover it all in this video. Sunday, Hurricane Madness. After having a hot deadline picking up both Kuznetsov and Jake Guentzel, the Hurricanes have looked deadly. Defenseman Dmitry Orlov had a monster 4-point game, and both new additions of Guentzel and Kuznetsov pot goals in a dominant 7-2 win over Ottawa. Goal scoring has been an issue for a defensively dominant Hurricane team in the past couple of years, but the new additions can make them a problem come playoffs. Speaking of new additions lighting it up, Tyler Toffoli got 3 points in another blowout win for the Jets against Columbus. The carousel of pain continues for the Jackets and their fan base, while the Jets pick up an easy 2 points. I'm convinced that no one wants the last wildcard spot in the East because all the teams competing are doing everything in their power to let the other teams take their spot. The Islanders lost to the Rangers again, which opened up another opportunity for the Red Wings to get an important 2 points, but they can't decide if they want to be in the playoffs or golfing in Florida, as they lose to Crosby and the Penguins. And don't even get me started on the Penguins, who continue to make life a living hell on their fans by beating the Red Wings and giving them just an inch of hope of making the playoffs. Meanwhile, the toilet bowl qualifications are going very well as the Chicago Bedards and Sharks faced off on Sunday night. Both Bedard and Kurashev can't help but be bright spots as they both recorded 2 points and helped the Bedards win another toilet bowl game. The Chicago team might go down as the worst team I've ever seen in my life. Unfortunately for most NHL fans, the tears will continue to be shed as the Las Vegas injured reserves beat the Devils and the villain arc continues. Before we hop into Monday, I want to thank VaporFresh for sponsoring today's video. VaporFresh is a non-toxic plant-based spray that cleans and deodorizes away. I live in a condo, so I give my equipment a quick little spray of VaporFresh, and then I hang it up to dry. When it's time to play, my equipment is back to smelling fresh, and I'm ready to go. You can grab your bottle today for 10% off by clicking the link in our description. Monday, OV history. Only 2 games on Monday, but the big rush machine was not going to be denied against the Flames. The 38-year-old Ovi gets 2 and becomes the 3rd player in NHL history to have at least 20 goals in 19 consecutive seasons. The guy is the walking definition of consistency, and the Caps get a massive 2 points over the Flames to move into the final wildcard spot. If you look at the Capitals' goal differential, it is an absolute joke compared to the other teams either in or fighting for a playoff spot. Yet, they have battled and found a way to be competitive. With their roster, they should have no business being in this position, but sometimes when a team comes together, great things can happen. Chasing the Capitals are the Buffalo Sabres, and Jeff Skinner is trying desperately to play in his first career playoff game as he goes off for a hat trick against Seattle. The Sabres keep the dream alive, and the wild card race in the East gets a little bit more interesting. Tuesday, Tortorella Magic. Tuesday started with a surprise scratch as John Tortorella did what he does best, and that's completely polarize the hockey community. Torts decided to bench captain Sean Couturier out of their matchup with the Leafs, and that is a bold move for 2 reasons. First, Philly is right in the middle of a playoff race, and second, they just named Sean Couturier the captain a few months ago, and now he's getting healthy scratched. Now, one thing about John Tortorella is that he doesn't discriminate with his lessons, as even though Couturier is the captain, he's only got 1 point in his last 9 games, and a message was clearly sent. Luckily, Philly responded very well, and they took it to the Leafs and jumped out to an early 2-goal lead. Despite the Leafs hanging around, Philly shut the door and win 4-3 over Toronto. The ballsy move to scratch the captain works in the short term, but we will see how this shakes out moving forward. Of course, it wouldn't be a regular night of hockey without the Penguins making me want to put my head through a wall. They failed to capitalize on any momentum from beating Detroit, and they lose to the New Jersey Devils. In all fairness, Jake Gallant was brilliant in this one. He made 36 saves and absolutely robbed Sid the middle-aged man. He's been a solid solution for a Devils team that has gotten 0 goaltending this year, but it's probably too little too late. Tuesday was also a brutal day to own a hat, as Scheifele, Rantanen, and Pastrnak all recorded a hat trick to lead their teams to victory. The Avs win 7 in a row, Bruins get to beat up on the Sens, and the Jets make a statement against the Rangers.
The Battle of the Cap Abusers also took place on Tuesday as the Vegas Injured Reserves squared off with the Tampa Bay Lightning. LTIR legend Nikita Kucherov gets 4 points as the Lightning defeat Vegas. All of a sudden, Tampa is catching fire at the right time and they have 4 wins in a row. That loss for Vegas stings a bit more as the Predators win 8-2 over the San Jose Cup contenders and the Wild shut out the Ducks. Minnesota moves within 3 points behind the final wildcard spot in the West, and they have the opportunity to do something hilarious. As for the East, the Sabres join the teams in the hunt who hate winning when it matters. They lose to the Canucks 3-2, while the Red Wings pull off a miracle with Lucas Raymond scoring with 13 seconds left to force OT. The lights got a bit brighter, so Patrick Kane was due to step up, and he scores the OT winner and gets a massive 2 points for the Wings. Showtime had a 3-point night, and the guy who was supposed to be washed up according to the analytics is proving everyone wrong. To cap off a busy night, we had the Oilers versus Canadiens and a gorgeous goal from McJesus himself. Backhand toe drag around the first defender, and then instead of firing on his backhand, the sick puppy cuts back across the net and finishes on his forehand. That's good for the vapor fresh, disgusting goal of the week, and also enough to help the Oilers propel to a 3-2 victory. Wednesday, goal scoring showdown. Alex Ovechkin versus Austin Matthews, and both these guys were trying to show off who's got the bigger stick. Both Ovi and Matthews get 2 goals in this one, but Max Domi would have a huge 4-point night to help Toronto stomp the Caps 7-3. The Caps needed the 2 points, but the Leafs needed the parade plans more, so they got the dub to formally resume the Leaf Cup parade in mid-June. Now, spring is supposed to be the time of the year where flowers flourish, but the flower Marc-Andre Fleury had a rough go on Wednesday. He lets in 5 goals against the Kings and gets yanked, while Anze Kopitar records his 1200th career point. Shout out to Anze, who's been quietly the most underrated stud for years over in LA. At the end of the game, the Wild try and target notorious hard worker Pierre-Luc Dubois, but he doesn't want any of the smoke, and the Wild lose, while the Golden Knights smile from the shadows. Meanwhile, the Dallas Stars get their turn to beat up on the Coyotes. Robertson had a 2-point night, but Matt Duchene stole the show with this slick no-look pass over to Seguin for the goal. The Stars win 5-2, and the Central Division continues to be an absolute arm race. You got Dallas, Colorado, and Winnipeg all tied for the top spot of the division, and whoever wins that likely has to face the Golden Knights in the first round. What a fantastic reward for finishing first in your division. Thursday, MVP Showdown. Friendly reminder that McDavid gave the entire league a head start this year, and yet he still finds himself in the mix to lead scoring. The Oilers absolutely whooped the Sabres 8-3, and McJesus had 4 assists to bring him to 86 assists on the season. He's likely going to hit 100 assists for the year, and the Oilers put the Sabres' playoff hopes on life support. The Preds make a statement on Thursday as they shut out the Florida Panthers. Kevin Lankinen had 33 saves, and Nashville continued their 16-game point streak that is currently sponsored by U2. An incredibly impressive run for a team that has come together over a canceled concert at the Vegas Sphere. We also had a heavyweight showdown in the East between the Rangers and the Bruins, and the Breadman was absolutely cooking. He gets a hat trick, and the Rangers beat the Bruins 5-2. Both of these teams have been accused of being fraudulent, but we're going to have to wait until the playoffs until we find out the truth. One team who certainly doesn't look like frauds right now are the Hurricanes. They get their 5th straight win over the Flyers in OT, courtesy of a Seth Jarvis finish. With that dub, they sit 2 points behind the Rangers for first in the Metro. We also had our wildcard beef for the night as the Red Wings and the Islanders faced off, and Detroit fans are damn happy to have their captain Dylan Larkin back as he scored twice to help the Red Wings beat New York 6-3. That's a huge blow to the Islanders' playoff hopes as Detroit creates a 5-point gap in the standings, and it may take Lou Lamoriello going full-blown mafia on the refs in order for the Islanders to miraculously make the playoffs. I don't know how the NHL scheduled all the toilet bowl matchups in 1 week, but the Ducks played the Bedards again, and this time they shut out the Bubble Boy 4-0. The basement of the NHL is having itself a week as the future Cup champs and the Sharks had the pleasure of playing the Lightning. Kucherov saw McDavid get 4 points and decided to do the exact same thing. The MVP race is something else this year, but the Lightning get another 2 points as they continue to kick into another gear heading into the playoffs. The wildcard race in the West may not be as exciting as it is in the East, but The Golden Knights are in their villain era, and everyone is hoping for their downfall. The defending champs gave a big middle finger back to everyone else as they pick up a huge 2 points in a 3-1 win over the Kraken to end a busy night of hockey. Friday, barn burner. Friday saw the Caps versus the Hurricanes, and this game was an absolute barn burner. Kuznetsov was honored in his return back to Washington, and he also got a little bit of extra love from Ovi, who decided to give him a quick little slew foot. Ovi also stayed hot by potting goal number 846 in his career, but these two just traded punches all game long. Sonny Milano got a hattie for the Caps, and it included a filthy bat out of the air over the goalie. How dare he? The Hurricane Sebastian Aho also got a hattie to force OT in this game, but in the end, Dylan Strome was the only man to score in the shootout, and the Caps take a monster 2 points to pull within 1 point back of the Red Wings. Now, the only thing worse than watching the Caps win for Penguins fans is to continue to watch their team tumble into mediocrity. Stars captain Jamie Benn scored twice in a 4-2 win to bury the Penguins and pretty much any last hope that Pittsburgh has of making the playoffs. Nathan MacKinnon saw all the fun that Kucherov and McDavid had the other night, so he added 2 points for himself to extend his home point streak to 33 games. Avs win big 6-1 over the Blue Jackets, and I still have no clue who's going to win the Hart. I thought McKinnon had it locked down, but Kucherov has found another gear here in the past few weeks, and he leads the NHL in scoring.
Saturday, hockey night in Canada. The buzz around the NHL on Saturday was largely surrounded by the Leafs versus Oilers and Matthews versus McDavid. We were at the game ourselves, had to get in on the parade atmosphere myself and get in the mix, but this game was all Maple Leafs. Toronto worked the Oilers in the first 2 periods, and Bobby McMahon got on the board twice to give the Leafs a 5-0 lead heading into the third. The broadcast caught Evander Kane and Leon Draisaitl going at each other a little bit on the bench, and you probably don't mind seeing a bit of fire from this Oilers team after an abysmal 40 minutes. The Leafs almost got into their choking ways after Edmonton scored 3 straight in the third, but an Austin Matthews empty netter would seal this game and formally extend the parade. Let's check in on the friendly neighborhood rat and Brad Marchand, as he absolutely loses it when he gets knee-on-knee by Johnson. Marchand gives it to the ref and gets a misconduct in the process as the tempers continue to flare. The Flyers end up narrowly beating Boston 3-2, but those are a big 2 points for them to pick up. That's because with 12 games left in the Islanders season, this game was a must-win against the Winnipeg Jets. Matt Barzal's 3-point night couldn't have come at a better time as the Isles win 6-3 and get one step closer to chasing the Red Wings for the last spot in the East. The Red Wings had the chance to improve on that gap as they took on the Nashville U2s, and this game was a defensive showdown. For 55 minutes, this game was tied at zeros, but Philippe Forsberg and that legendary mustache pot a late one. The Preds hold on to the 1-0 lead and are on a 17-game run where they are 15-0-2. Both the Blues and the Wild are on the outside looking in, and both are in complete desperation mode. Jordan Kyrou nets a hattie in this one, and Brandon Saad gets the OT winner to piss off Fleury, as that Blues win gets them within 4 points of Vegas. Speaking of the LTIR legends, they picked up their own 2 points against the Blue Jackets to keep some breathing room between them and St. Louis. With this being the week of the toilet bowl, the Sharks and the Blackhawks had to face off. The Sharks were living up to that cup potential when they scored 4 straight in this one to take a commanding 4-zip lead. But this right here is the toilet bowl, and the Blackhawks would not be denied. They rally back with 4 straight goals of their own to force OT. Seth Jones seals the comeback, and the Hawks take the toilet bowl classic in a game that should be remembered for about 24 hours. Some other news that shouldn't shock you is Nikita Kucherov getting a point. He extends his point streak to 13 games, but the Kings get the last laugh with an OT win over the Lightning. The Rangers and the Panthers had the game of the night, and the Breadman continues to cook. With the Panthers up 3-2 in the third, Artemi Panera-Bread steps up and ties the game. This one would end up in a shootout, and Mika Zibanejad hits Bobrovsky with the Forsberg to kick off the shootout. Shesterkin shuts the door, and the Rangers take over the top spot in the East. The only team higher than them in the league is the Vancouver Canucks. Niels the Hog Hoglander scores 2 against the Flames, and Vancouver makes easy work with a 4-2 victory as they sit on top of the NHL. So, who surprised you in Week 25 of the NHL season? Drop your prediction for the future Stanley Cup champion in the comments down below. And also, feel free to let us know what team or player you'd like to see a deeper breakdown on for the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.